Alrighty, my beauties, we are looking at ellipses day 2, where we're going to write the equations instead of graphing. To do this, we need three things. We need to know where's the center of the ellipse, we need to know A, and we need to know B. If we know those three things, we can write our equation. So here we are given that our ellipse has vertices at 0, 8 and 0, -8, and foci at 0, 4 and 0, -4. And remember, the center has to be right in the middle between the two vertices and between the two foci. So if we have a vertex at +8 and a vertex at -8, that means our center is 0, 0. And the distance to the vertex is 8, so that's A. The focus, though, doesn't give us B. The focus gives us C. The distance from the origin to the focus point is 4. So I'm going to use my a squared minus b squared equals c squared to figure out that b is the square root of 48. So now I'm going to write my equation. Well, my center is at 0, 0, so x minus h and y minus k are just x squared and y squared. Okay. A, well, this is a tall ellipse, so the a is going to go underneath the y, and since a is 8, 8 squared is 64. The b is going to go underneath the x, and the square root of 48 squared is just 48. So there's our equation. All right, so for b, same idea. We have our foci at 2, 0 and -2, 0. Length of the major axis, well, that's the longer axis. So if the entire axis is 12, that means A has to be 6. And since the focus is at +2 and -2, the center would be at 0, 0. And the focus point gives us the fact that our C has a length of 2. So to find B again, I have 6 squared minus b squared equals 2 squared. So we get B is the square root of 32. Since the focus points went left and right, that means the vertices also go left and right. So the larger number has to be underneath the x. And our center is 0, 0, so x minus 0, y minus 0. So again, we just have x squared and y squared. A is 6, so underneath the x, we have 6 squared, which is 36. B is the square root of 32, so underneath the y, we have the square root of 32 squared, which is 32. All right. So C, this time we're not centered at the origin. We have vertices at 0, -1 and 4, -1. And we have covertices at 2, 0 and 2, -2. So that ends up being those 4 points right there. And I just approximated it. So to be right in the middle of the two vertices, the x value would have to be 2. And to be in the very middle of the two covertices, the y value would have to be -1. So that tells us our center is at 2, -1. And the distance from the center to a vertex is 2. The distance from the center to a covertex is 1. And that's all I need to write my equation. So using the center, I get x minus 2 squared and y plus 1 squared. It was a wide ellipse, so the larger number goes underneath the x. 2 squared is 4. 1 squared is 1. And ellipses always equal 1. Remember, they always equal 1. All right, so D, same idea. Vertices are at 5, 0 and 5, 12. So that tells us it's going to be a tall ellipse. Covertices are at 0, 6 and 10, 6. So right in the middle of those two and right in the middle of those two would put us at the point 5, 6. So that's where our center is going to be. The distance from here to a vertex is 6. The distance from there to a covertex is 5. So the 5 and the 6 give us x minus 5 squared, y minus 6 squared. It was a tall ellipse, so the a has to go underneath the y, so we get 6 squared is 36. The b has to go underneath the x, so 5 squared is 25, and it always equals 1. Okay. All right, so the next ones, we are given the two focus points and the length of the major axis. So the focus points are 0, 0 and 4, 0. So remember, the center has to be right in the middle of those 2 points. So that means our center is at 2, 0. And that tells us that our C value is going to be 2. We are given the major axis is 6. That's the entire length of the axis. So that means from the center to the vertex would have to be 3, because that's half of the major axis. Then a squared minus b squared equals c squared, so b equals the square root of 5. So using this, x minus 2 squared and y squared. It's a right-left ellipse, so the larger number goes under the x, so 3 squared is 9. The smaller number goes under the y, square root of 5 squared is 5, and of course it equals 1. Alrighty, and last one, we were given our foci, and right in the middle of those two focus points would be the point -2, 1, so that's where our center is going to be. And then the distance from there to a focus point is 4, so that's our C value. The minor axis has a length of 6. So if the focus points go up and down, the minor axis goes left and right, and if the entire axis is 6, that means the B value is 3. So a squared minus b squared equals c squared, so we get a equals 5. So using our center, x plus 2 squared, y minus 1 squared. The parabola, the ellipse is going up and down, so the larger number goes under the y, 5 squared is 25. The smaller number goes under the x, 3 squared is 9. And that finishes up writing equation of ellipses. Only one left, hyperbolas. We are almost done with conics.